Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today we're taking a look at a 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe in the XRT trim level. This vehicle sitting on 245/60 Continental tires wrapped around 18-inch alloy wheels with a gloss black finish. It also has four-wheel disc brakes with ventilated rotors in the front and solid rotors in the back. I have a full video on the Calligraphy 2024 Santa Fe Calligraphy, which has a lot of options and stuff. Now this one is the XRT, which is the more off-road, I guess it's a cosmetic off-road package or trim. And it's more about the aesthetics, It does have an all-terrain tire that's more aggressive and stuff like that. But it's not like you're gonna take these, like super off-roading or anything. But it does look really good, especially with this green color. It's like a dark, like a hunter green, looking really nice. And it has a bunch of black cladding to go with it to make it look more rugged. Now you notice that it has the headlights that extend here across the entire front of the vehicle. It has that accent light there and this kind of H accent light here. And I have a night video on that Calligraphy as well, so you can check out how well the headlights work and all that stuff. Now this has these little openings right here. They're basically airflow, so sometimes you'll see it and these will be closed, and then sometimes they'll be open depending on the airflow that it needs. So they're active grille shutters, but it kind of changes the way the vehicle looks when those are open and closed. So depending on when you look at it, it'll look slightly different here in the front end. Right now they're wide open, as you can see. So the Hyundai badge is blacked out. We have some gloss black, flat black there, cladding here on the sides. Gloss black wheels, more cladding under the doors. The handles are body colored. Side mirrors are gloss black. We have gloss black pillars here. Has like this handle right here for accessing the matte black or semi-gloss black roof rails. So yeah, I like the way this vehicle looks. A lot of people have issues with the back end or the square lights or the blockiness of the lights or whatever, but I think it looks pretty cool. Definitely the driving experience has won me over. So here in the back, let's go ahead and address the controversial issue. It's the back end for some reason. It's kind of neat. Another thing that people mention that I do not get at all is that they compare this vehicle to a Range Rover or a Land Rover. I don't get that at all. It doesn't appear to look or anything like that. I don't know, I just don't get that comparison. So we have like these short H or dog bones back here for tail lights. And then you have these reflectors down here. And then the reverse lights are way down here. There's a single tailpipe out the back. It's very noticeable. The camera has a backup camera. It's integrated nicely right here, right in the very center. Near perfect, actually. And it has a rear wiper, and the rear wiper is located under here. I don't know if you can see that. It has one hidden under there, and it swipes down. Good idea. The fuel door is here on the driver's side. Pretty traditional. This one has the black interior. It's basically all black here on the door, except for that metallic portion. And we have some soft touch surfaces around your arm and stuff. And then you have the hard touch surfaces here at the bottom. This is enclosed, so you can utilize that as a pocket. Manual adjust the seat with height adjustment here on the passenger side. Looking pretty good. They're pretty comfortable seats too. Lots of leg room. It has a pretty interesting little shelf pocket right here, rubberized on the inside. This is the handle for the glove compartment, which is smooth plastic. And then you have a secondary compartment here, which is another, goes in there quite a ways, and it's rubberized in the bottom as well. And this is a soft touch or kind of rubberized non-reflective dash. And check out the styling. Looks pretty cool. Have a compartment here. It can be accessed for the driver or the passenger. It does have the sunroof. The back door maintains that same styling, but it has some cup holders right here, right where your hand is. It's like perfect. And there's the threshold area. Second row seats had the latch system for car seats here. Now there is a armrest with cup holders there. There's USB ports here on the sides of the seats, here and here. You can see that right here. And then on the back of these seats is pretty cool. It has these bag holders, and then it has this pocket where it pulls out and you can actually see in there, clean it out and stuff. Some map pockets you just have to like reach in there, but this one you can pull out and see and clean in there thoroughly. Floor is almost flat, has a little bit of a hump there in the center. And then there is a drawer here. You can also access this from the back. You can lift that up and you can get some stuff out of there. Kind of neat, could be useful. It has climate control vents right here. And you see it has the light headliner. So if we need to access the third row, there's a button here. We can press that and it kind of spoons that seat forward. And you can see it's not like huge amount of space here to get to the third row. But yeah, and there's a little tiny third row, but it does have the car seat attachments on both sides. You have climate control adjustments here. Power supply. Now that's a power inverter. But yeah, it's kind of small, but you know, still useful in certain scenarios. These seats also fold down flat, so let's go ahead and put it back where it was, and then use this lever. And this is what I call cargo mode. So when you fold all the seats down, it's flat. If you have all the seats occupied with the passengers, this is the cargo space, which is kind of limited. We do have a little bit of extra space under here though. Tire, the tools for the spare tire, which are under the vehicle, and a little bit of space here. It's also designed to fit a shade back here as well, if you want to do that. There's a little storage cubby here. You can put some stuff. It goes in there a little ways, and has a little keeper place so things don't fall out as easy. 12-volt power supply here. You can put it like a net pocket or whatever. You can also fold down the second row by pressing these buttons. These third row seats can recline a little bit if you need extra space. There's different motions there. Same thing with the second row. It can do a little bit of reclining. But let's say we need a little bit extra space here. What we need to do is fold it down like so. And now we have a lot of space, a lot of additional space. And we can still have a spot to put a car seat or another passenger on this side. So we can start folding seats down. So you notice this third row is a 50-50 split. Second row is a 60-40 split. So we can start folding seats down and adding to the cargo space while still maintaining passenger space if we needed it. But yeah, very useful. And so let's use this button right here. Press that, and it folds that seat down. So now we have, let's say we put a large box here, we still have passenger space, and we can put the large box here. Something like that, like a long box or something like that. But yeah, it could be useful. You know, the ability to fold down seats and, you know, separated seats is very useful for all kinds of different reasons. Lowering the power liftgate, you just press this button, or you press this button to lock the vehicle as it lowers down. But we'll just press that. This is what it looks like under the hood. And you notice that the engine's kind of low down in there to give you a lower center of gravity. Have easy access to the 12-volt batteries there as well. Now there is some insulation and heat shielding there on the firewall because the turbocharger is back there. So this one does have a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. Now it has a direct injection system, and it's paired to a dual clutch 8-speed automatic transmission. And it is an all-wheel drive vehicle, so it has the H-track all-wheel drive. And like I mentioned, it's not really an off-road vehicle, but it does have the, you know, all-wheel drive capability. It's primarily the front wheels that drive the vehicle, but the rear wheels will kick in when needed. Now it does have the blind spot detection system, the indicators there on the side mirror, and the driver's side door is just like the other side, except for it has a few more buttons. The front windows are one touch up and down, and they are laminated glass. Back windows, you do have to hold it, and it goes all the way down. Unlike the passenger side, the driver's seat is powered and has a two-way lumbar adjustment as well. And yeah, these are comfortable seats. They look pretty cool too. Here to the left of the steering column, electronic parking brake, dimmer switch for the interior gauges, the ability to open up the power liftgate, traction control off, default would be on, but if you need to spin tires for whatever reason, you can turn it off. And then you also have a tow mode there and a tilt and telescoping steering column. It does have the egg-shaped key here with the physical key outside of the fob. And it has the ability to open up the power liftgate and lock and unlock, of course, remote start and a panic button. But it's kind of bulky and seems like it doesn't have to be this big. But anyways, I have a video showing you how to replace the battery, and you can see how to take it apart and stuff if you want to check it out. But yeah, I'm sitting in the driver's seat and lots of room here. It's one of those vehicles that, you know, hadn't had any issues with getting in and out of it, sitting in it, driving it for long distances. The comfort is fine. The amount of space is fine. I can find different comfortable positions like this or whatever. I can move my legs around. It's fine. This compartment's a little bit hard for me to get into. But I can understand somebody maybe using a bag, putting a bag there or something like that. Steering wheel's comfortable and has useful buttons, including the paddle shifters back here. Cruise controls over here. Radio controls are over here. You can also customize this screen. Right now it shows like a little dial, which is kind of cool. I'll show you that while we're driving. But yeah, it's a pretty cool design. Let me turn the brightness up a little bit here. It's simplistic and useful. And then this screen basically has the navigation and different icons here that you can quickly go into. You have a pull down menu as well. And then you have the combination of touchscreen and physical buttons here, physical volume knob, and then you have physical buttons for the radio to quickly go there. Temperatures, fan speed, where you want the air to blow, all that good stuff. You have different drive modes, but you have a sport, a normal, a sport, a My Drive, which is customizable, and then a snow mode here. But yeah, normal's fine. I mean, either way, you have that dual clutch transmission, which is, you have a little bit more responsive experience with the sport mode. So, you know, if the dual clutch is a little bit annoying you, then maybe you put in sport mode, maybe that'll help a little bit. You do have a four-wheel drive lock system, so this will, you know, give you a little bit. So typically it's just using the front wheels, and then it'll kick in the back wheels when needed. But if you're in a, you know, off-road situation, you can just go ahead and set it up to where it's all four-wheel drive all the time, you know, more so for lower drive speeds. You do have auto hold. You also have a downhill descent. Now this is for off-road use only, so it's basically like it's actually up or downhill. So if you're going, it's like a steady speed, trying to maintain traction mode. And the camera button unfortunately just pulls out the rear view camera because it doesn't have the 360 camera. It doesn't have the blind spot cameras or anything like that. Parking sensors are here, and then you have a wireless charger on this side and then just a pad to put your phone here, and you can plug in. And my cell phone case actually charges no problem here. You can see a little status indicator while it's charging, which is kind of cool. And then you have a USB-C here, but this one connects with the system when you press this button. So you can have it either just charge or charge and or connect with the system. So, and you can see the little light there changes as well. It's kind of cool because sometimes you just want to plug in your phone and just charge it. You don't want to start, you know, installing, you know, all this stuff, right? You know, Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, or it just starting all this procedures. You just want to charge your phone. So it disconnects it with this button here. And I like the way this charging pad kind of pops up and you have direct contact. And then also it's rubberized, and wherever you put your phone, it stays there. It doesn't slide around. So yeah, really well done. There's a little space right here for wire to connect if you need to. You have cup holders here. The bottom is rubberized. So this compartment you can access from the back. Like the rear passengers can lift it up and look in there. The front passengers can lift up on this side and access this compartment. And it has like this little tray, and there's my business cards in there. So it has this little tray, and I can pull this tray out like so. It has a little divider, which is kind of moves around. Like, in other words, it can come out easy. So yeah, there's a little tray, which is pretty cool. It's really easy to clean because that drawer turns into a junk drawer, and so cleaning it that would be easy with that. But underneath that is that drawer we saw in the back. So let me drop something in there so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so it goes way down in there, and then when I open up this drawer back here, you can see it's that drawer. So there's this first portion, and there's a second portion. So that's like a secret part right there. See if there's anything secret in there. Nope, there's no secrets. There will be one in a second though. All right, so I put my business cards in there. Now, I secretly put them up there out of sight. Now, and then we put this tray back in. So that's 3 levels of secrecy. That's pretty cool. The rearview mirror has a manual day and night mode. And then we have these interior lights. There's reading lights for the driver, the passenger, all the interior lights with that button. You can also have the interior lights turn on with the door by default, or you can turn that off here. It's a little off light right there. This is for the sunroof. We'll get to that in a second. You also have roadside assistance buttons there. Now the visor is a soft cloth, just like the headliner. We have a little light there, and then a mirror here. This also extends out and gives you pretty good coverage here. The sunroof has a shade that covers 100% of the light, and manually open it up, and of course we can tilt it and then we can slide it back if we want. Pull it back as far back as it goes. So looking at the visibility here in the back, you can see I have some of the seats down and some of the seats up, and you can see how it affects your visibility, because the headrest will be an issue at times, especially if there's passengers in the seats, in cargo and all that stuff. But yeah, overall I hadn't had any problem with the visibility on this vehicle. You can see there's plenty of windows, and so I can see out, even though it doesn't have the 360 camera system, I still see fine, and you know, drive the vehicle with no problem. I mean, it has the parking sensors and stuff too, blind spot detection system, those type of technologies to help you out. But overall, the visibility here on the sides, here on the front, the pillars, no real problems, nothing that's not normal anyway. Now, I drove a Calligraphy Santa Fe when it first came out, the 2024 model, and had a really great experience with it. It had a lot of the upgrades, basically, that Hyundai offers, like the blind spot cameras, the 360 camera system, additional wireless charger on this side. So yeah, it had a little bit more upgrades than this one, and so the only issue I really had with it as far as driving it, I mean, I really enjoyed driving it a lot, and I was just, to be nitpicky, there is a little bit of, and this experience with this is that it has a dual clutch transmission and a little bit of lag with the engine and stuff, so it kind of compounds the lag. So sometimes you hit the accelerator and there's a little bit of a delay, and then all of a sudden it goes. Plus the dual clutch transmission has like a little gap between shifts, you know, so you know, there's times in which it's not as responsive as I would prefer it to be. Other than that, it's been great. I've put a lot of miles on the previous one and this one, and the Calligraphy and the XRT, and it's just been a really good, well-designed vehicle in my experience. This one is more on the cosmetic side as far as the off-road style. The XRT is more like a style than it is an off-road vehicle. But yeah, it has less features than the Calligraphy, but it still, you know, has a lot of overlap, you know. And yeah, it has this cool, I don't know if you can tell, this gauge cluster here, which has these, you can see that a little bit better. See the colors there with the colored dials that look really good. And this is an all-wheel drive vehicle, and if you watch the wheels, like the power delivery graphic here, it's almost always the front wheels, and the back wheels, you know, kick in when needed, basically. And so yeah, it does a good job. I mean, I haven't done any kind of off-roading or anything like that, but I have driven it on wet roads and stuff, and no problems as far as, torque steer or anything like that. So yeah, the off-road is, the all-wheel drive system seems to be fine, and, hadn't really had a problem with it. But it's not like it's, like the XRT thing is just a cosmetic from what I can tell. It's not like you're going to be doing any kind of like Jeep trails or anything like that with this vehicle. It's just the style and the cool factor, right? And it does look good. And I really like the way it has the things that they've layered in with convenience features, right? The style looks good. It's very functional style, and the screens and the way you have some space here and under here for a bag or whatever. And then just the way the layout is everything is very easy to get to, and out of the way. There's nothing kind of like that stands out that's a problem. The cup holders are in a nice spot. I like the shifter that's right there out of the way. It's right there where your hand is when you need it. Steering wheel feels good. It's very functional. We do have some paddle shifters in case we need it. I like the way it has the compartments here, there, as well as the glove compartment, and then you have a shelf in the center. Pockets on the doors, right here, the handle is enclosed, so we can put some stuff in there. I put my cell phone in there a lot when I don't want to charge it. So yeah, there's like this, just the way the design is, there's a lot of little things that add up to be very functional, and it looked good, aesthetically pleasing and functional. Of course, it has plenty of room in the back with the third row. Occasionally you might need to have a third row passenger or something. You have that, you can lift it up, and when you're not using the third row, you have lots of cargo space. So yeah, it's really cool. Like it doesn't have a rear view camera, it just has a regular mirror here. It doesn't have the 360 camera here. It doesn't have the turn signal, blind spot cameras here. So there's a lot of things that the Calligraphy had. It just made it, even more glorious of a vehicle, right? It's just this one's just a little bit less, but still with the basic functionality and features, the structure and all that stuff of the vehicle. Aesthetically, I think the XRT looks pretty cool. It has a little bit of the tires are a little bit more road noise, a little bit more of an all-terrain tire, which, like I said, it's not really for any kind of off-roading, but I guess it just completes the look. So if you are doing if you live on a dirt road or something like that, it makes sense, I guess, to have like an all-terrain tire. But if you think you might have some issues as far as you're just not on dry pavement all the time like I am, then maybe those tires make sense. But for me, just some normal tires would be fine, because I live here in North Carolina, where it is, like there's very rarely any ice on the roads, and there's very rarely any snow, or very rarely. And so yeah, some rain, that's about it, right? And so yeah, the all-wheel drive is fine and everything, but I don't really need the aggressive tire or anything like that. And that very, very obvious stepped transmission with the dual clutch system is, some people like that. It's a little bit of motion, but it's stepped, and it's very familiar. People have a familiarity with a strong stepped transmission. So this has it, and like you have the full power delivery every time it changes gears. The clutch is fully engaged with the engine and stuff, so you have that direct connection like a manual transmission. So it feels good. Once you accelerate and you get to your set speed, then you have a very confident feel on the road and everything, as far as the lockup with the engine, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's very easy to drive. You can kind of zip around town. Has electric power steering, and it feels good. It doesn't have, it's like one of those vehicles where it has the third row, and it's pretty decent size, but it's not like huge where you feel like you're having trouble parking it or anything like that. It's a very approachable size for the average person to drive and get used to. Now, me personally, I would probably prefer to have the 360 camera. The blind spot cameras aren't a big deal because it does have the blind spot monitoring system. But at least the 360 camera would be nice, because this just has the backup camera and that's it. Especially if you are doing any kind of off-roading, the 360 camera would be, you know, even just make it better, right? Make it more appropriate for an off-road vehicle. Because you get in tight situations, you might need to look around the vehicle and see what's going on. So yeah, it's kind of odd that it doesn't have that 360 system, but you know, it is a less expensive vehicle, and not everybody needs it. Especially if you're not used to it, you know, you just drive and you don't really pay attention. You might not even, like when backup cameras first became a thing. When I first got in a vehicle with a backup camera, I just forgot to look at it. I was just so used to just looking for myself that I just forgot that there was a camera there, and I was too busy looking out the back window and not even looking at the camera, right? So a lot of people, some people are not used to camera systems, and you know, they'd rather just look out the window and you know, have the normal driving responsibilities, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's a well done vehicle. The more I drove it, so the Calligraphy, it was one of those type of vehicles. I mean, I drove it all around quite a bit. You know, I went on a trip to Charlotte with it and did a lot of driving with it. And the more I drove it, the more I liked it. You know, some vehicles, like the more I drive it, I'm like, you know, start to see more issues with it that are not aligned with my, you know, preferences. I'll just say that. And so the Santa Fe, the other one I drove, it was great. You know, it was really enjoyable to drive. One of the things that, you know, that kind of like helps is that it has the adaptive cruise control with the lane keep assist system. And as you're driving, it doesn't really fight with you or anything. It keeps you in the lane. Another thing is it has grip sensors. So as you're driving, and some vehicles, if you're driving and it doesn't detect your hands on the steering wheel because it has a torque sensor, if you're not actively turning the steering wheel left to right, then it kind of beeps at you and lets you know, like, hey, you're supposed to be holding the steering wheel, even though both of my hands will be on the steering wheel, right? In this vehicle, you know, it can tell if you have your hands on the steering wheel. Like you see, I don't even have my hands on the steering wheel. It's not bugging me, but eventually it will, and we'll see how long it takes. But basically, all I have to do is just rest my hand on the steering wheel, and it knows it's there. I don't have to, you know, jerk the steering wheel. Like other vehicles, I'm constantly giving me warnings, and I have to just kind of give it a little bit of a jiggle to let the system know I have my hands on the steering wheel. And it's like, it gets annoying after a while, you know. So having a feature like, you know, a grip sensor, which a lot of vehicles have them, but you know, not all. Then you know, it's just a little thing that just avoids some problems, right? So nowadays, it's like there's so many little added things that are unrefined on a lot of vehicles, and the more they add these things, the more they're annoying, the more you don't. If it's a feature that you paid for but it doesn't work properly, you just tend to turn it off, right? So a lot of vehicles have a lane keep assist system that I just use it for a while, and it gets so annoying. It's fighting with me constantly or giving me unnecessary alerts all the time, and I just like, forget it. I'll just turn it off, right? So yeah, see, it's telling me to keep my hands on the steering wheel, and I just barely touch it. I didn't even turn the steering wheel at all. I just barely put my hand around the grip, the handle here, the steering wheel, and it sensed it. So yeah, it takes like, you know, no effort. So yeah, but yeah, the features that work well are great. I really appreciate those. You know, it's like I'm pointing out something that's like kind of it seems minor until you drive a bunch of vehicles where it doesn't work well, and it's like it becomes like you really appreciate the ones that do work well. So Hyundai and Kia seems the features that they have in the vehicles, it's like if it has it, it typically works well, and that's what I appreciate. You know, like, I don't know, like even expensive vehicles, it's really, really crazy. Like super expensive vehicles that get in, and it has all these little features, but like a good portion of them are not working well. And it's like either turning it off, and if I can't turn it off, it just becomes even more of an annoyance, you know. A lot of beeping and stuff like that is what drives me nuts. Like constant beeping for this and that, like, you know, get too close to the lane, beeps at you or whatever, or you know, you get in the vehicle, it just starts beeping for no reason. Or if you stop or you park in a parking spot and you want to talk to your family or whatever, and somebody in the car takes their seatbelt off, then all of a sudden it's beeping and beeping and constantly beeping and it won't turn off, right? So it's like, the nonstop nanniness of new vehicles with all these little beeping features, and they're supposed to be reminders, but a reminder doesn't preemptively beep at you, right? A reminder is like you get in the vehicle and you start driving, and then after, a little bit of driving, then it beeps at you, let you know that you don't have your seatbelt or something like that. Not like as soon as you get in the door, it's like it's already screaming at you as soon as you open up the door and get in. That's another thing. Some vehicles have it to where you just open the door, no matter what. It could not the lights on, not anything. You just open the door and it's constantly beeping at you, like the Honda Prologue. Or Toyotas. A lot of Toyotas, if it has the rear seat reminder activated, every time you get out of the vehicle and lock the car, it's going to be beep, 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 beep. And the whole parking lot's like looking at me like, what's wrong with your car? Like there's something wrong with it, Every single time I get out of the car, it's like beep, 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 beep. And so it's like I have to go in the sub menu and try to and then turn it off. It's like ridiculous. Luckily, you can turn it off. And I didn't even open up the back door. And that's the way Toyotas are now. And Lexus, too. So yeah, it's the whole beeping thing. So getting in a vehicle that doesn't have problems, it's just a normal vehicle that works well, it becomes, like it becomes like a pleasure to drive it at a certain point. But this is one, it's not just that it lacks negative. It does have some positives as well. But yeah, the overall roominess of it, the ride quality, there's not a lot of road noise. I mean, this one has the tires and everything. It has a little bit, but not a big deal. So yeah, the only thing I can say really with this one that is not as ideal for me is the dual clutch transmission. Compounding with the delay in the engine. That is a little bit not fun at certain times where you're trying to drive smooth, let's say you got passengers in the vehicle or whatever, and then you get this, this jerkiness, and then everybody's like kind of jerking around, especially if you got people that get car sick easy, and you can't really help it because that's the nature of the vehicle. That's becomes a problem. Also if you have like groceries, and then if like you're driving and all the like delays, and then all of a sudden jerking in and gear shifting and all that stuff that's very, very strong, and you can't really you can't smooth it out because it's a dual clutch, right? It's not going to be that smooth. And then your groceries are all falling down and sliding around all back there, and you can't just drive easy, as much at certain times. So yeah, like there's a delay. I hit the accelerator and then it has to have this delay and stuff. So anyways, it's just the nature of the vehicle. It's not really a big deal. It's just that's the only thing I can think of that is not ideal for me. Other than that, I think it looks good. I mean, I understand people don't like the back end, and that's like everybody says the same thing. But to me, actually, I didn't really think about it too much, right? I mean, I just saw it, it has a little bit different, non-traditional back end that looks a little bit different. But it was really, for me, it was a driving experience. I didn't really care too much about how it looks. It's kind of cool, the blockiness of the lights and stuff. But it's the driving experience that really won me over on this vehicle. That was the big deal, because driving it for a long extended period of time, and the more I drive it, the more I like it, that kind of thing.